fairly certain. I think the pickup in the tank is clogged. Look down in here. There's barely any fuel, and it kind of barely dribbles out. The back of the vehicle now. You can probably figure out what I'm doing by now. I do have a ginormous light that's right behind the camera, so it's blinding me. I'm trying to drain out the tank because I didn't necessarily pour a bunch of gas into the tank. I maybe poured 3 gallons into the tank, but then by running the thing off of a spare jerry can and having the return line and that all basically getting sent back to the tank, I've filled the tank up a pretty good way now, and I need to clean it out. I need to drop the tank. I've been avoiding doing this for a while because it's a pain in the butt and I hate doing this stuff. But it's to the point. I put a new carburetor on it, a Holley, just because I had one laying around and I wanted to get the Quadrajet off and rebuild it before I actually ran with it for an extended period of time. And I replaced the fuel pump as well, so you've probably already seen those videos, but still after that, I've got one of those clear plastic inline fuel filters, and you can see gas just is barely dribbling from the tank. And it sometimes will fill itself up, and it also backfires pretty good through the carb when it's in gear a lot of times, and it pretty much won't run. So it doesn't have near the gas that it should. When I run it out of like a jerry can or a tank, that fuel filter is completely full to the brim, and you can see it right when you start it over for the first time, it fills the whole thing up with gas pretty quickly. So we've got issues. Now, I probably already knew this since the thing was sitting for 10 years, but when I'm trying to siphon it out right now, I'm not having any luck feeding this line into the tank. It's getting caught on, feels like a couple different things in there. I really can't tell. I'll probably figure it out a little bit more once I drop the tank and take the fuel sending unit out. I'll be able to look in there and see what it was. But when I shove it in there, first of all, the gas tank smells pretty bad. And after failing to get it lined up a couple times, see if I can show you guys this. This is the stuff that's coming out of the tank. It's this, it smells like moldy varnish is what it smells like, but it's this chalky, powdery substance in there. So I'm sure that sending unit is completely plugged up at the sock, and this stuff's probably caked on the inside of the tank. So we gotta clean everything out. Now to drop the tank on a Camaro, or really most Chevy cars, it's fairly simple. I should say older cars, not new cars with fuel injection, but older carbed cars. For the most part, your gas tank's gonna be held up by these gas tank straps. There should be 2 of them, one there. And they've got these long bolts with some nuts on there. And these guys are 9/16. If you back them up, you know, that holds the whole tank up, so it's going to fall. I usually back them out a bit, get everything to drop a couple inches or so to give myself some more room. All these buckets were to catch my gas, but I'm probably just gonna drop it on the ground. But before you do all that, I would recommend, sorry, I gotta position the camera. I would recommend coming in here and disconnecting all of these lines. So if you can see them back, where's my finger, up in there, there's 4 lines on the passenger side that need to be disconnected. They're hard line from the tank, I believe, or from the sending unit, and then they go to a rubber line, and then it meets back up with another hard line. And then you've got one on the driver's side over there that you'll want to disconnect. You can kind of see it there before you actually try to drop the tank. And then you'll also have to disconnect at the top of your sending unit, wherever that is. I'm guessing it's probably going to be on top of the tank. Since I can't see it here right on the face, it'll probably be on the top side, but there's most likely going to be a couple wires on that. It could be one going to a grounding location, and then it might be like this sending wire going over there. You may have a positive as well. We will see. I don't think you'll actually have a positive. I think it's just going to be a sending wire and a ground wire. I'll show you what they look like, but these are all hose clamps. They're just your basic 1/4 stuff, or if you have the factory style, it'll be like a squeeze clip. Get all those lines off. A lot of times I just cut these lines. I've done it before on another video I made, just cut them to get them off. This stuff's all pretty old and brittle, and I'll end up replacing it anyways. To make it easier on myself, I'll probably just cut those lines. So I'm gonna do that now, and then I'll start to lower the tank down a bit, see if I can't get it out without dropping it on the floor. But I've got the gas tank supported with a transmission jack, and I've got one of the tank straps completely loosened. The bolt's out, and I just gotta wiggle that out, and I'm gonna take the other one out first. Now I also have all the soft. So I'm not sure, the camera keeps shutting itself off, but I've taken off the straps and I've cut the soft lines, and I'm supported with a transmission jack. Let me see if it'll keep recording this time. Ooh. Little spacer came out. Same on this side, little spacer. Cool. Save them. Now in theory the tank should just fall, so I'm going to lower it down slowly with the transmission jack. Hopefully, I don't know how well it's going to hold it because it is, I think, full of gas. Definitely seems to be a little bit bound up on stuff. Those screws. Okay. Stuck again. Okay. Still recording. Stuck again. Keeps getting stuck on the driver's side for me. I'm just waiting for the whole thing to come crashing down. Alright. So it looks like it's really wanting to rock itself forward towards the front of the car. I'm going to cut the camera and I'm going to see if I can look up underneath there and disconnect the stuff on the top of the fuel sending unit, so that in case it does fall, it doesn't rip any wiring out or do anything like that. Okay, I've got a helper out here with me. The gas tank kind of wants to wobble on this thing. There's one wire, the sending wire for the fuel sending unit, that's still attached, and I just can't get underneath there with my hand until I lower it down more, but it's really starting to wobble. So I'm having somebody hold one side, I'm going to lower it, hold the other side until it gets low enough that we can get a hand under there. Well, that's about as low as the jack goes, so the car may need to go higher. Let's see if I can get that sending wire now. The tank is out. This is what it looks like underneath there. You can see well, you can sort of see the original blue color compared to the red. Here is the sending wire for the fuel. It just pops onto the top of the sending unit. And the ground, it was actually, let's see, it's that little hole right there on like the driver's side, just barely driver's side of the tank. It's about right there. It's a 5/16 little bolt that goes through this wire. So here's the sending unit. I haven't gotten a chance to actually open this guy up and look inside there, but to take off the sending unit, all you got to do, you've got these tabs on the top of your sending unit. Let's see, here's the locking plate, and then this little guy is the tab that you're trying to spin. So there's going to be these taller tabs over here that you can physically, it's hard to see that one, but it's sticking up. You're going to hit that with a hammer, I usually use a screwdriver, and that'll knock this guy all the way spinning around lefty-loosey. You don't want to knock by this because it's just going to flatten it out. If you wanted to save this, you wouldn't want those tabs to be flattened or break them. you want to hit by these straight up and down ones. And then you're just going to be spinning it lefty-loosey until you can take it out. Now over here, these lines, these are actually, well, I guess I'll probably be getting new ones since they're attached to my sending unit. They feel a little rusty and I don't feel soft, but they're gonna spin as you pull this whole thing lefty-loosey. These things are gonna come spinning out like this, I believe. So be aware of that. I'm gonna spray the whole thing in WD-40 on the top just so that everything slides easily and I don't break anything in case I need it. Okay, the tank is out, the sending unit's out. We found, I think, to be one of our culprits. Here's the sock. Like I was saying, that's pretty, it's pretty caked on there with that, yeah, rusty varnish, old gas stuff. So that's probably what was stopping a lot of it coming through the lines or being picked up. Now you can see it also looks pretty milky down there. It's not, you can't see the bottom of the tank at all. It's real brown, rusty, murky color. So I'm gonna dump some of this stuff out. Now we'll siphon it out, should be able to. And we'll look at what's coming out of the tank, and then we'll get it completely empty, and we'll look at what the bottom and the inside of the tank looks like. Now here's the inside of the tank. I've got it emptied out. It didn't look too bad. There's some rocks and debris in there, and if you get a view of that side, there's all that orangey rust or lacquered up fuel that was stuck and caked onto the fuel sock. And I've seen this a lot worse before on a different gas tank, so I'm thinking that that's the stuff that just got up in there. So I'll show you what I do with this guy to clean out the inside of a tank. There's a real rudimentary way you can do it without any sort of tools. I'll show you that next.
So this is what I'm doing to clean out the tank. Sorry about the car noise, it's gonna be there. I've done this once before on a Jimmy tank that was full of rust and debris. This one's not that bad, but I'm just throwing basically gravel, these rocks, inside the tank. Actually in though. And they're in there with a little bit of water.
Next step up is gonna be putting in the new fuel sending unit. So, okay, part number is gonna be, now I gotta make it focus with my hand manually. That is FG126B, Field Goal 126 Boy. So this is a Spectra Premium part. I got it from AutoZone. Honestly, I think they all probably work just the same. They work fine. Refocus it. But this is what the part came with. Now I was pretty jazzed up that the part came with these long metal lines, these hard lines that you're looking at right here. I wasn't sure if it was going to or not, but this does look like an OEM factory part, and it's got these long extended hard lines, which is pretty neat. Now it also comes with a new locking ring and a gasket, which important, use them both. It's even better if you clean off the rim of the sealing surface in here on the tank. But you've got a new gasket, which is important. It's gonna hang out there, and you've got a new locking ring. This is the guy that you're actually hammering on that seals your sending unit to the top of the tank and doesn't let it leak. Now, this is the new unit. It looks almost identical to the one that I have. There's a couple small differences, which I'll try to point out. I don't have the part anymore, the old one. I swear, I think I showed you guys in another clip, so hopefully it's before this video. But here's the sock, here's the actual float that tells you whether you're full or empty on gas, depending on the level. There's just a hollow bowl that goes up with the level in the tank of liquid. The sock on the other one was completely gummed up in it was basically stuck totally shut. That's why I was getting barely any flow out of it. Now the other one, it also stuck out to the side this way. It didn't just go straight out, which I think is a pretty bad design in my opinion, because to get it out, I had to basically, the way it was stuck to the side against the tank, I had to bend the sock to get the actual sending unit out, and that ended up ripping it. Now, if it's brand new and you're replacing it, you can probably bend these things. The sock would have been flexible and it wouldn't have been an issue. But the new one just has a little sock right here, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. And it does appear, I mean, it slides right in pretty easily. And it does seem like it sits somewhat near the bottom of the tank. You know, nobody asked me what size tank I had for this particular vehicle, for the sending unit. So I'm assuming that all of them for these 73 Camaros were the same size tank. And this one does basically reach the bottom of the tank. It's not necessarily rubbing or sitting on the bottom, but it's pretty darn close. So I think that's good enough for me. And the tank has been cleaned, so we're gonna set this guy in there. So to put in the new sending unit, the first thing you want to do is take your new gasket, this black rubber piece that comes with the kit, and set it on top of the tank. And that'll just hang out there. Now this locking mechanism, this ring, you want to slide it on your actual, this entire unit. Typically they're not this long. You're just slipping them over a couple tubes over here. But this one, you want to make sure you've got all the ridges and these plastic tabs that you're going to be hammering facing up. So slide those on, put it over all the electrical. We'll undo and wrap up the electrical later. This is going to be the ground, and then the sending unit clips in here up top. So you're just going to set that on top so it's hanging out here, right? And then you've got this tab sticking up. Then you want to fish this guy in your tank and be careful not to knock your gasket off. And then you basically want to set and you can move this, the locking ring, you can move it out over here if you need to. I messed up my gasket. And then set this guy in the tank. And you've got to get a couple of the metal pieces underneath some tabs. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. You can't really see it all that well on this clip, but there's some grooves in the top of the tank that these pieces on your new sending unit will lock into, and then there's some grooves that the sending unit has to go underneath of. So it's pretty much locked into place right now with the gasket, and this is where it's gonna sit. It's not perfect, but that's basically where it should go. I've got the locking plate, just twist it righty-tighty until it kind of sets in the grooves. You'll be able to tell where it's supposed to be, because there's tabs on the actual gas tank, and then there's grooves on the locking plate. So I've got it set where it should be, to the point where I can no longer twist it righty-tighty by hand. I need to actually stick my screwdriver on these tabs that are sticking up, and I'm gonna have to hammer them to the right. Now you need to make sure, the first tap you do, make sure you're pretty light, and then go around. I'll bring the camera in. You wanna make sure that the locking plate goes under the tabs on the gas tank. So let me take you guys off of here to show you what I'm talking about. It's not that difficult, it's pretty straightforward. But I want to make sure that we make a good video here. Okay. Here is the gas tank. Here is the locking plate. This side is a great example. You can see that the locking plate, silver, is underneath the brown metal of the gas tank. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll get one to go underneath, but the other sides will start to pop up. So right here, you can see silver is underneath the brown metal of the gas tank. Over here, same thing. Silver is underneath. So all three of my sides of the locking plate are set where they should be. I'm gonna go ahead and keep hammering this righty-tighty by these little tabs right here, or right here, just righty-tighty until these tabs basically bottom out over here, and that means I'm locked into place. So I'll finish that up now.
Hopefully you can hear me through the sound of the heater. The sending unit is in. Here is the old one. I want to give you guys a look, an idea of what I was dealing with. Ugh, that chalky stuff. This is the worst side. This was on the bottom of the tank. This was the pickup. It's completely caked. The upper side seems okay. It's ripped off because the way, see, it's going the opposite way. I had to bend it and rip it to get it out of the tank. But I think all of this stuff was what was causing me to not get any fuel flow through my lines. That's why I had only about half fill on the filter. Okay. Bye-bye. So the other thing here that I want to show you is this thing coming off the top of your sending unit. This is a ground. It goes right up here. You see that hole right there? I sanded it off to make sure the ground is clean. That's the ground. This guy goes inside your trunk, and this one, this is the sending wire that will plug into the top of your sending unit, which is this guy. Okay, so we're about to throw the new tank in. Everything's been swapped over. It's pretty straightforward, but so I've got a buddy with me to help me out, just so I don't have to use the transmission jack the way I took it off, because I don't think it's necessary. So we're gonna do this now, but it's pretty light. Go ahead and leave that back. We're gonna put it on top of the gas tank straps. And then it also, alright, so we gotta lower the back end down. This guy has to go up here. Hang on. Something like that. Alright, hold that kind of ballpark in that area. The back is where you can literally put your shoulder under there, so you don't have to actually lift that thing up. Just shove your shoulder, your back under there. Face this way. Easy. Yep. Let me make sure. Okay. So up above camera, I just pulled the license plate down and made sure the filler tank was up there, and it was. So that's fine. Okay. Now what I'm gonna have him do is actually lower down so I can get all the wiring and hook up the ground and the sending unit wire, and then we'll put in these actual gas tank bolts. So I'm gonna hook up the sending unit. Remember, this is the wire, kind of looks like this. It comes from the tank and it plugs into the male terminal on the top of the sending unit. Okay, so it's kind of hard to tell. The car is running, and right in here, that is the fuel filter, and it's now full of gas. Before, it only made it up to about right there. Now the entire thing is full of gas, and it's idling with a high idle because the choke is on right now, right where it should be. So we're gonna let it warm up a bit, maybe move some cars around and see if it'll drive under its own power.